Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our preview of the Accounts Payable and Expenses Work Centers and Insights, some of the many new features that Cardinal will roll out as part of our upgrade project. We really appreciate y'all attending. So here's our agenda for today. We're going to start with a few introductions, and I'm going to give you a quick overview of the upgrade project and discuss the session objectives. I'm then going to turn it over to Jeevan, who will show you the new Accounts Payable and Expenses Work Centers. Jeevan will then turn it over to Kim, and Kim will show you another great new feature, our Insights dashboards. I'll fill you in on what you can expect in the next few months, and we'll end with any last-minute questions you may have. Our main speakers today are Jeevan Ramagiri, our Accounts Payable Team Lead, and Kim White, who has returned from retirement to work on special projects. My name is Dana Smith, and Monica and I are the change leads here at Cardinal, and we'll be facilitating this session. So, let me tell you a little bit about the PUM upgrade project. The Cardinal team is enhancing both FIN and HCM, upgrading these applications to the latest PeopleSoft releases. We started the project in September 2025, and we plan to go live with the upgraded system in September 2026. The upgrade includes over 1,400 enhancements aimed at improving the user experience and overall system functionality. Today, you'll see three of the biggest enhancements: work centers, the move to the fluid user interface, and insights. First, let's talk about work centers. A work center serves as a centralized hub for users to access key module components and is tailored to Cardinal system roles. Think of it as a one-stop shop for doing your daily tasks. It consolidates reports, queries, tasks, and relevant links into a single workspace. And the My Work section highlights where user action is needed. You'll learn much more about work centers from Jeevan. Next, let's talk about our move from classic to fluid. On this slide, you'll see the screen you are used to seeing when you access Cardinal Financials. It's a very desktop-centric design that relies on traditional multi-level menu trees. With the PUM upgrade, PeopleSoft Classic will become a thing of the past. The new look is PeopleSoft Fluid, a modern and responsive user interface designed to adapt across devices using tiles and flexible layouts. Our demonstrations today will feature the new Fluid design. And finally, another great new feature being implemented as part of the PUM upgrade is PeopleSoft Insights. Insights is an analytics engine that provides fast, interactive, and actionable data directly within the PeopleSoft application. It really is a replacement, if you will, for the retired business intelligence application. The Insights dashboards include interactive graphs, charts, and tables, which allow you to easily interpret data and identify trends. Kim is going to demonstrate the accounts payable and expenses insights that will be implemented with the PUM upgrade. So today we are giving you an exclusive first look at these new features soon to be available in accounts payable and expenses. We'll use your feedback and insights to help inform our communication and training strategy to our larger Cardinal audience. We're also hoping you'll be excited about what you see today, and will take what you learn and share with your agency colleagues. So feel free to share this presentation deck or the recording, both of which will be made available to you. So we know that virtual sessions are always a challenge as there are a lot of distractions, but we hope you'll be able to stay focused for the next couple of hours. We value your feedback and hope you will ask questions, because if you're thinking it, someone else probably is too. And lastly, and I really can't emphasize this enough, please complete our post-session survey. In this survey, we're going to give you the opportunity to let us know if there are any links, reports, or queries that you think need to be added to the accounts payable and expenses work centers. I'm now going to turn it over to Jeevan, who will provide walkthroughs and demonstrations of the accounts payable and expenses work centers.
Thank you, Donna, for the wonderful introduction. Good morning, all, and welcome to this new feature presentation once again. As mentioned by Donna Smith, my name is Jeevan Ramagiri, and I'm the Accounts Payable and Expense Module Lead. Most of you might already know me either through phone conversations or emails or VCCC tickets. The reason you're all chosen today for this session is because of your expertise in these functional areas or being SMEs or based on your day-to-day tasks in expense and accounts payable modules. I'm very excited today to walk you through this new feature, as mentioned by Donna, coming up in PUM upgrade, which is the Work Center. This enhancement is designed to streamline the most common tasks you perform in each functional area from day to day, making the work faster and more initiative. It eliminates the need for navigating through multiple nested menus, which you are currently doing in Cardinal, significantly increasing the efficiency, productivity, and speed for daily operations. Today, I'll be focusing on two specific topics, which are the Accounts Payables Work Center and the Expenses Work Center. I'll show you how each one of these helps simplify the navigations, centralize the key actions, and improve overall efficiency for end users. With this, let's move on to the slides, which is displayed out there. As indicated, the Accounts Payable Work Center is the central hub for vouchers, processors, and approvers, providing the items requiring immediate actions and giving them ease of access to reports, queries, and processes and other pages. The access to this work center is given to all voucher approvers and processors, and also to match exception managers, which is limited to VDOT only. As you can see, the Accounts Payable Work Center has 6 major areas: My Work, My Approvals, My Insights, Links, Queries, and Report Processes. Let's dive in more into each one of these areas. My Work. This is an area highlighting high priority items such as voucher entries requiring approvals, and you can see the exceptions. And this section is based on your user roles. So depending on the roles you have, you may see some section areas in here and some may not, which we'll go through when I'm demoing live. Next is My Approvals. This is the list of transactions waiting for your attention's approvals. Again, this is also based on the user roles. So it depends on what user roles you have. It displays transactions for that. The next is the My Insights, which is a reporting dashboard, which is new for the financials that Kim White will cover and explain in more details in a few minutes after my demo is over. I'll let her speak more on that. And the next is the Links. It provides the shortcuts to frequently access pages on your day-to-day tasks. Queries, as it says, is list-specific saved queries. Again, the list you see in the demo is based on most frequently used. But other than these queries, you still have access to your normal query viewer where you can still access all the public queries out there today. The last one is the Reports and Processes, which gives you a quick access to most of the reports you run day to day. And you can see the process through the process monitor, the report outputs right there within the dashboard itself. Now we have looked at the 6 categories in previous slides. So let's dive into a little bit more into My Work area. And you can see in each section of the My Work area, you see numbers out here, which tells you the workload you have in each of these sections. And My Work area, as mentioned before, is based on user roles. For examples, matching, you'll see only for VDOT users. Other than VDOT, other agencies will not have access to that area in that, which we'll see more in the demo. And the vouchers highlighted over here in the screenshot list the budget checking, which tells you this particular screen has 3 budget checking errors, which lists over here where you can see the exceptions right from here and take actions from here instead of navigating to other different pages. There is a refinement, filters refinements out here, which we'll talk more in the next slides. And this is expense work centers. Expense work center is similar to the AP work centers, wherein my work area more focuses to travel operations, cash advances, and expense reports that require immediate attention. And this work center is given access to all the expense employees, expense coordinators, and expense approval roles. And in this slide, we talk more about the filters. As it is, the work centers are given to end users with predefined filters. For example, with a predefined business unit, the business units currently users have access to. But apart from that, users can always set their own filters. And there are 2 sets of filters out there which are defined over here. In the first screen, you see that this is where you can do that in the left section, which I will, when I'm demoing it, you'll see it. There's edit filter sections over here where you can define additional criteria from the predefined criteria. The criteria which you choose over here will be permanent for that work center until you come back and change to different filters. Until then, the criteria stays as it is defined now. And the next screenshot shows a temporary filters, which is similar to the permanent filters, but these filters are defined only to that session. Once you're away from this session, the filters will be gone, and then you need to redefine again if you want to grow this. The reason for this is to say, for example, if you want to focus on certain transactions, you can limit out here to those focus transactions and work on those as needed. And like I said, when we do the live demo, we'll talk more about this, and I even show you a couple of them, how to filters and what the differences, you'll see it again. That leaves us to the live demonstrations. Now, I'll be already logged in as a user. Once you log in, you'll come to this page out here where you see the tiles out here instead of the normal links which you're currently used to. As I was mentioning, if you're an HCM user, I'm sure you're familiar with this. But you'll see the same kind of links what you're used to now: Cardinal financials, HCM, the website, manager account, meet a customer, and cap manual. These are the same links which you're currently used to see it, but as a tile. So now focus is our financials. So let's click on the financials, Cardinal financials link. This will take you to a financials page. Again, this is a new tiles page out there, which finance users are not familiar with it, but it displays additional tiles, and these tiles are based on your security and user profiles. So some users may see all these tiles, some users may not. For example, users who are processors may not see an approval tiles out here, but others will see it. Other than that, the query viewer, report manager, insights, you'll see all this as a normal end user. Let's click on the payables work center, which will be our first focus today. So I'm clicking on payables work centers, which will go straight into this work centers out here. And as mentioned in the tiles, you have these different areas out here, like my work, my approvals, my insights, links, queries, and reports and processes. My work area is the area which is based on the roles again. So not everybody will see whatever the areas you're seeing over here. Some may see this, some may not see it out here. And same with my approvals too. So let's dive in more into the my work area. The first area you see that is incomplete vouchers. These are the transactions which are not completely done, meaning for whatever the reasons the vouchers are created, but maybe the user did not have the complete paperwork, or there are multiple distribution lines which cannot be keyed in a day. So the users can create these vouchers and do a save for later, which will come into this, and next day you can go into this section out here and see all your incomplete vouchers out there. So once you're here, you can click on the voucher. For example, I'm going to click on this 1527, which will take you directly to the voucher page. And depending on your access, you can edit the voucher here, complete the vouchers, whatever was missed previously, add more distribution lines or fill up other missed criteria, and save the voucher right here, which will save automatically without navigating to any additional pages. So all of them is one click of a button over here. So once you're done with this and save the vouchers or view the voucher for whatever the reason, you can click the X over here, which will take back to your work dashboard again without losing your work center's area. You can also see a link out here, the supplier. So if you want to see the supplier for this voucher is, you can click on that supplier link, which will take you to the supplier page. And depending on the access, you can either view or edit, and then you can see what address you have the voucher. Is that the right address or not? Or the locations you can go into and see what the method is, and so on and so forth, to make sure everything is what is needed correctly on the voucher. Once you view the voucher, you can click again X over here, which will take back to the work center again. So you can complete any of the vouchers out here right from here. That's the beauty of the links out here. And then the next section we have is vouchers submitted for approvals. This is the list of all the vouchers for that agency that was submitted for approvals. Like you see, 13 vouchers out here that was submitted for approvals. This is just a list of vouchers that was submitted. So you can see all the details out here. What is the voucher ID? It will tell you who the approver is right now over here. Again, you see the supplier ID against it, and you can see other details, who created it, what's the date created, what's the amount, and so, and all those other criteria out here. So for example, this one has only 13 vouchers, so it's not a big list. So for example, an agency has 200 vouchers submitted in a day. That'll be too many to see, but you're focusing only on, say, certain responsible org. I do not see responsible org as a field out here. So that's where your filters come into handy. And I was mentioning before, there are two types of filters. One type is called permanent filters, where you click on this settings or circle icon here and click on edit filters, which will take you to the link. And we are looking at vouchers submitted for approval. So let's click on that. The predefined business unit is already there, which users cannot be set until you have a access to multiple business units. You can click on out here, and all the lists you have will be available out here. So if you want to limit this criteria, let's see. I want to see the criteria, the vouchers which are only for responsible org 9999. I can key in 999 over here, done, and then click done here. See, now it's reduced the number to only 5 out here. So these 5 transactions has a responsible org of 99999 as a responsible org. So you can limit only to this. You can additionally define other criteria out here. Say if you want to look at a specific voucher or specific supplier where the vouchers are made for that vendor only. Or you're looking for a gross amount, certain gross amount, or styles. I mean, there are a lot of criteria out here which you can do. And as I mentioned here, this criteria stays here unless you come back again here and change that criteria to whatever you want it to. So I'm going to remove that 999, which I did it. So that means I'm going to go back to show you all the transactions out there. Now you can see all the 13 vouchers out there. The other criteria which I was talking about is the temporary criteria. So that's where you can see in the right side over here. If you click on the filters out here, you see the same criteria out here, but this criteria stays only for that session. So let me show you what that means. So let's do it again. It's the same thing. I'm keying in 99999. I'm clicking done. So you can see it reduces the vouchers out here. So only 5 vouchers came out here. Now I'm going back and clicking out here to see what it is. This number didn't change, but this number changed because this is only set to temporary for that session only. So when I click on here, now it goes back to the 13 vouchers out here. Now let's go back to my criteria out here. As you see, the temporary criteria which we defined before is gone. Now it's back to what it was. It's going to show you all the vouchers. That's the difference between the temporary criteria versus the permanent criteria out here. So now let's move to a different category out here. We have voucher exceptions. As you can see, the voucher exceptions basically list two categories: recycle vouchers, budget check errors. There is, for this agency, we have one recycle voucher and two budget check errors. So let me click on recycle voucher. So this is the voucher which is recycle. The recycle can be for any reason. It could be the voucher line amount is not equal to header line amount, or a distribution line is missing, or accounting period is closed. For whatever the reasons, you can still save the vouchers, but it's not going to go anywhere, and it's going to set as a recycle voucher. And then you can click on the voucher out here, which will take you to the voucher just like before, and you can see all the voucher information. In this case, it says the error summary, which is saying that gross invoice amount is out of balance. So that means the header amount is not equal to line amount or the distribution amount. You can go here and see that's the difference. You can see the total header amount is 250. And then you see the line amount is 200, distribution amount is 200 only, which is not matching. So that's why it's went to recycle vouchers. And you can correct that voucher out here and save it, depending on your access. Once it is saved, it's corrected, then it will be out of this list. And then that list will be budget checked next time, which is the next process of the transactions.
Jeevan, we do have a question.
Sure.
And this question is from Sandra. She says, for keyers, will they see denied vouchers in their recycled vouchers?
No, denied voucher still is in the process of the postable status, so you will not see that in here. But you can still go into the voucher and search page out here where you can resubmit again for the approvals.
That answer your question, Sandra?
Yes, ma'am. Unfortunately, I was hoping that the keyers would be able to have a complete work list of everything not yet completed, regardless of being denied or in the process of being worked on to save. So although this is a nice view, it's not a complete view for them. And it won't keep those denied vouchers in their view until they're completed.
We can take back your view, Sandra, and see what we can do.
That would be great. Thank you.
So moving on to the next category within the exceptions, we have budget check errors. As we were showing in the slides, that slide has 3 budget checking, but this one has 2 budget checking errors. And again, by clicking that, it will show you, list out the vouchers out here, where you can see the voucher, again, just like I was showing before. But the beauty of it is you can see the exceptions right here in this same page. It will tell you what the exception says, and you can correct the exceptions and then save it, which will be corrected right here instead of navigating to a different page. So that's where you can correct the budget checking errors over here, just like you're correcting the recycle vouchers. And the next category we have under the vouchers is the scheduled payments on hold. And this agency has 2 of them. These are the transactions that were budget checked and approved, sent for approvals, but it's put on hold. For whatever the reason, the payment is put on hold. So as long as it's on hold, the voucher is on hold, it will not get paid until the hold is removed. So you can either go into the voucher and go in and take off the hold from here and save it, which will be ready for approvals and processing the payments. Or the beauty of this is you can select this voucher and there's a related action out here, which will tell you remove from hold. As soon as you hit remove from hold here, the hold will be removed automatically and it will be ready for processing the next pay cycle. So you can do it from here if you know everything is correct and needs to be removed. But if you're not sure, you can go into the voucher details and look at the voucher and make sure it's ready to be paid or not. So you can do either way out here. Okay, that completes the categories we have under my work. Now, the next section we have is My Approvals. And My Approvals, for example, for this user who's logged in, has 5 vouchers sitting in a queue. And remember, we saw the agency has 13 vouchers out here. So this is the list of vouchers that agency has, but out of which the 5 vouchers which listed out here are routed to Sanita in this case. So which is listed out here. So she can view the voucher by clicking the voucher. And then you can see the details out here. It tells you the business unit, due date, voucher source, style, and who created, modified. And then if you click on this link out here, this will take you to the distribution details, which gives you the line numbers, line amount, and also all the chart fields for this voucher. You can view that. Click the X, go back to this, and you can even go into this link out here, which will tell you the remit supplier information, which is the voucher is getting ready to pay. This is the vendor ID, this is the name, this is the supplier location, this is the address sequence number, which is ready to pay. And you can click the X out here, go back here. You can click on the view printable version, which will pop up a page and gives you the voucher printable out here where you can print it right straight to the printer. This opened in a new tab, so we can click the tab back, go back to the WorkCenter again. And you can see the approval comments, approval chain out here. If you click on that, it will tell you what the chain is, where it is, and if it has a multiple levels approvals, it will list all the levels of approvals here, and it's where it's pending to. Right now, it's pending on Sanita's list out here. So there are more options here. If you click on more over here, you have an options of pushback or hold, and you can deny the voucher, or if you're all good with it, you can click on approve, which will approve the voucher. So all of this is done right from here in the WorkCenter instead of going to the different pages or different navigations or going to your traditional WorkCenter and other links out there. So this is nothing but mimicking your current work list right from through this WorkCenter itself. And we have a new feature out here for approvals, which is called a delegation of authority. Again, I'm not going to go more details on this, but we have a training session on this going forward. But delegation of authority is similar to what you're used to now in Cardinal reassignment, where, for example, if you're on a vacation or going away for a long time, you can reassign your work to somebody else who has an approval role within your agency. But currently, you can approve all the transactions, meaning the vouchers, journals, expenses to only one approver. That's the drawback we have in Cardinal. But in this new pump, we have eliminated that drawback, and now you can assign each transaction type to each approver. For example, you can assign vouchers to a voucher approver, you can assign journals to a journal approver, or you can assign expenses to an expense approver. So you can assign each transactions to a different approver. So they're out to this different users which you have selected it to. We see a lot of tickets about this. How can you assign this to a different person? Only the voucher transactions. And this delegation of authority solves that purpose for us. And the next area we have is My Insights. This is a new dashboard coming in the new pump features. I'll let Kim White dive into this more after my session is over.
Hey, Jeevan, before you go further, Sandra has her hand raised and wants to ask a question. Sandra, go ahead.
As the approver of vouchers currently in Cardinal, we don't see all of the required review information in the approval screen. We have to open a separate screen under the AP process to see things like goods and services and the complete description that's put in there. Is that now able to be seen from this screen? Is that an option for us to see it without opening a second screen?
When you say goods and services, are you referring to the line information?
Yes. See, our keyers have to key things in like the goods and services date and a complete description that's going to show on the GL. We can't see those things when you open it to approve it. I have to now open a second screen under the AP, pull the voucher up to be able to review that data before I can approve or deny the voucher. Is this new system going to allow us to see 100% of what that keyer keyed such as the
Yes.
goods and services date, so we don't have to take the extra step.
It shows you everything out here. The summary sections out here gives you the invoice date, the due date.
There's no goods and services date, and that's a required field to key and review before approved. So we still can't see that without opening a new screen. And also in here, where do you get that option to open that new screen like we currently have in Cardinal? It's up on the right, and we can click on open a new screen, so we can have two screens to review this voucher.
That you can open it from this links out here. You can search view on that voucher and you can open it. I'll show you in a minute. But in here, you're talking about the receipt date and the goods and service date. That's what you're talking about.
Yes, I need to see the goods and services date that was keyed, as well as the payment message and stuff, so I can make sure all of that was correctly done before I approve a voucher.
Hey, Sandra, this is Julie, the Cardinal Main Building. We love that question. There are some things that we know that with delivered PeopleSoft that we will need to make some considerations for. So thank you very much for noticing those things, and we'll put those on our list as well.
Okay, thank you.
That's a good question, Sandra. That's a good point to know.
Stephen, we have one more question from Chiquita. Her question is, delegation of authority, is this only for when you have to reassign to another approver?
Yes.
Hey, Chiquita, can you maybe provide us what you would want it to be beyond that, or what you're thinking it is?
Just wanted to find it because I know right now, like when I'm doing expenses, that I have to assign them to get approved. But if the person of authority is not in, then we do have somebody else that's delegated to do this. So I didn't know if that had something to do with that we would only use the delegation of authority for that if it's somebody outside of the normal person who does it, or this is something that we'll be doing, period, for reassigning.
So Chiquita, this is Bilal from the Cardinal team as well. On the WorkCenter page, this delegation feature which you see is for you to define your future reassignments. Like if you are going to go on vacation, you will be able to reassign those in future. And then that expense coordinator which you had in your agency, they will still have access to a similar type of a page where they will be able to move your already routed transactions as they do today to the correct approval, like if the next authority is not available for approving those transactions.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Bilal. I mentioned about the insights, which Kim is going to cover. Now we're going to a new section called links. The links gives you access to set up pages, which your normal day-to-day work, without going navigation to the menus, navigations. So for example, under the links we have the vouchers. Under the vouchers, you have different options out here, which you see normally now. You can create the voucher from here. You can search the voucher. Looking at the goods and service date, you can search from here. And then you can have the accounting entries, unpost voucher, close and delete vouchers. These categories are limited to based on your roles. Not everybody will see the delete voucher or close vouchers or unpost vouchers based on the security. So with that, let's click on regular entry, which is a normal voucher creation process. Like you normally see now, you see the same kind of entry page out here where you can enter your business unit, voucher ID, and then enter the voucher and the details, supplier ID, everything else out here, add, or you can even look for a find existing value like you normally do right now to find a voucher out here. Instead of that, you can always go to the voucher search, which you are currently used to again, where you can search a voucher based on the entry style or source or the supplier ID. So, and you can search and then the list will come out here. And we have the review suppliers. If you want to review a supplier where you want to pay a voucher against, you can key in the voucher ID out here. And any other required statuses and supplier sanctions, and then you can search for that, and the list will come down here. You can review the vouchers out there. You can close the voucher if it's appropriate, the actions available for you, depending on your role. And then under the payment sections, we have payment inquiry where you can do the payment inquiry, which you normally do. And the page looks similar to what you're used to now, where you can key in various criteria, bank account number, bank code, bank account, and check number out here. And then you can search, which will list the payments for that check number.
Just a minute.
And then we have something called other links. This is specifically designated to process monitor and report manager. So instead of going to the navigations to process monitor, you can click on this and see all the processes you ran within whatever the date range you have it out here, you can list it out here. And similarly, you can click on the report manager link to take you to the report manager link for the BI publisher reports, which you have it. You can see that from here also, which you are used to currently. So all this is available right from here, again, from the work centers. So you don't have to navigate to each and every page and forget the navigations or do it as a save as and favorites and these things.
I'm sorry, Jeevan, can we have one more question from Sandra? She's our star pupil today, and we appreciate all of her questions. The attachments for vouchers will still be available to open and view when approving, right?
Yes, it will be.
Okay.
The functionality will be same of what you have right now. It's just ease of navigation.
Just to confirm, so on that page that you were showing for the my approvals, is the attachment on there? Again, another consideration that we can look at.
Right here
Yes.
on the uploads.
Yes.
Yeah, we have to be able to review the attachments, at least for our agency. That's the way we do it. So I
Yes,
need to see
particular-
the invoice and all to review before I can approve or deny.
This particular voucher did not have attachments, but we'll review that and back to you, Sandra, on that.
Thank you.
And Sandra, I did confirm you definitely still have the ability to open two windows, and you can have the work center open in both windows. So while we work through some of these things and see what we can get added, that is still going to be available to have multiple windows open.
Thank you.
I should have created one. That's a good question. And the next sections we have out here is the queries. And these queries, we have different queries under vouchers, payments, and 1099 queries, and you still will have the query viewer where you can still navigate through it, click in the query viewer, and you can still see the public queries out there, which you are commonly used to access now. Apart from that, we have provided some certain list of queries. Again, this list of queries is based on the popularity of usage. And then check how many users have ran these queries, and then we use that in here as a predefined list available in the WorkCenter itself. So in the vouchers, you'll see the pending vouchers for origin. When you click on that, you'll see the same type of opening page out here. One thing I want to point out here is that you see in the left side of the section, you see the description as pending vouchers by origin, which is the query description name, which you're not used to currently. I'm sure you're used to the VAP pending vouchers by origin name. You can still see that out here once you click that. But if you do not know what pending origin is, again, you can go back to query viewer and search for that description, and then this will pop up. Other than that, if you click here, it will pop up the traditional name out here with the description, which is pending vouchers by origin listed out here. And you can key your business unit, origin, counting date from further. You can see the view results from here. And then you can download this to as Excel spreadsheet like you do normal. So let me quickly do this demonstration. When I click on the view results, I get these results just like you're used to commonly now. Everything feels available out here. And you still see that download features out here where you can download to the spreadsheet, CSV text file, XML file, and so on and so forth. All The current links are still available here where you can download to Excel and view the links. This is same as what you see, but these are all available from the WorkCenter itself instead of navigating and searching for the queries. That's under vouchers. And if you look at the payments, you have, again, certain queries out here, payment cash check results, or vouchers posted with CDS in top, or vouchers which are on payment hold, which works similar way like what I showed you before, where you can key in the criteria and it lists the details here where you can download to Excel. And then we have listed some 1099 queries. I'm sure people who have worked recently in December, January, February month will be happy to see these queries listed out here. So they're available right in the WorkCenter. They can click on this and run the reports as they normally do currently. And the last section I have in this WorkCenter is the reports and processes. Again, these are the reports out there. We picked these reports based on the usage again. So we have several reports under vouchers, payments, and suppliers. So under the vouchers, you have the posted voucher and vouchers and expense accrual report. So click on the posted vouchers, you'll see the same run control page, which you're used to now, where you can create a new run control or search using the existing run control. And once you run the report, I'm just going to not run the report. I'm just going to click this. I want to show you this. So once you run the report with the criteria out here, the process monitor and the report manager links are still available here. So you can click the process monitor report manager from here, or you can go into this other link section. You can see the process monitor link and the report manager link, where you can see the reports which you just ran. So you can view the reports, download from there, save the report, or whatever you normally do now. So everything looks similar to what you have right now. By click of a button, you see all these things. And the reports we have under the payments or payment history by payment method, prompt pay report, payment register include offset reports, which most of the users run day to day. And then the suppliers, we have the payment aging by suppliers, payment history by suppliers. Again, this is the most common report used by end users. Depending on the access, you may not see it. So the current user does not have access to this because it has a sensitive information. If it is not, then you won't see this. You get this access. You're not authorized to this. That concludes my accounts payable WorkCenter. Please raise any questions if you have any on this before we move into the next one, which is the expense WorkCenter.
Jeevan, Solomon has a question. Solomon, you want to come off mute and ask your question?
This is all good and nice, and all those updates. What we will really love to see is also when someone key a deposit or a fund receipt, we'd love to see the approval on the approval list, like some kind of. Right now, we just depend on the keyer to inform us this is ready to be approved. Is there any way that could be added also?
So, and when you say deposits, are you talking about the funds receipt, just to confirm?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So love the question. One of the things that, and as Jeevan had showed at the very beginning, whenever you come back into the system, you're going to see these work centers by functional area. So you're going to see the accounts payable. You'll see ones for AR. You'll also see, and Jeevan's going to show us actually the expense. And for AR funds receipt, there is not going to be something that indicates it because it's a custom approval for that, but there will be links to it in the WorkCenter to get to it quickly. So I assume that you have both of those roles, a voucher processor and a funds receipt processor. So you'll have both of those tiles whenever you come into the homepage.
Okay, so we will be able to see a pending approval though, right? Like we have like for voucher.
It's a little bit different. So it's not as pretty as this one is. It's we're trying to use our delivered functionality, and because what we did with funds receipt is custom to the Commonwealth, then we weren't able to figure that out. But that is an excellent thing for us to consider for future.
Okay,
So
thank you.
we'll definitely put that on our list. Thank you, Solomon.
And Abranda has her hand up. Abranda, do you want to come off mute and ask your question?
I'm a voucher processor. So what I wanted to know is under the AP Work Center where it says voucher categories and it's incomplete vouchers. When I log in, will I see everybody's incomplete vouchers? And if so, will I be able to filter for the vouchers that I keyed only?
To answer that question, this incomplete vouchers is all for the agency, but you can always go into the edit filters.
So there's a couple different filters. It looks like there is a user ID filter
Yes.
Amanda, that you would be able to use for your specific personal vouchers. But then you can also see there's a couple others that you can incorporate in here.
Okay, so with that being said, I was here before, like, I know now, like, the new people have like voucher ID numbers. Mine still says my name. So will I just put my name in there?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great. Great, thank
And-
you.
And if you want to see only your incomplete vouchers every time, you can do this user ID out here in the permanent filters, and that will stay there whenever you come to the work centers. So that way you only see your vouchers, incomplete vouchers out there. Because this will stay there for forever until you come back and change it.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Well, the next one, which I'm going to show you, is the expense work centers. So once you go back to your home page again in finance, you'll see that expense work centers tile out here. So I just clicked on the expense work center tile, which opened up the expense work centers. And you can see expense work centers look similar to what I showed you for the accounts payable, with the same areas: my work, my approvals, my insights, links, queries, and reports and processes. And these work centers access is given to all the expense approvers, processors, and coordinators. So anybody who having these roles will be able to see this work center. Work area transactions are limited to, again, based on your user roles. So with that, with this user has travel allocations, I see 4 of them out there. This is for the agency again. Cash advances, 4 of them. Expenses reports, 5 of them. So let me click on the travel allocations first, which say I want to see what this travel allocation out here. Okay. Somebody's again.
Before. This is a development environment that we're in. And what we'll also say is that we haven't even started our testing yet. So this is when we say this is a preview session, this is off the charts. Like, you get to just see it and you're in the thick of it with us. So you might see some of these little things that still need to be worked out. But again, the reason that we wanted to show it to you up front is so we could capture any information and then potentially incorporate it into the features prior to go live. Back to you, Ethan.
Thanks, Sherry. So like I clicked on one of the expense report, which I viewed it. So it's open in a new tab out here. So you can see this information, the basic information out here, the general information. So I'm going to click on view details link out here, which will take me to the actual expense. So you can see the date, the expense type. Again, this is a fluid page, which is new feature in the POM. You can see the expense type and the descriptions, payment type, which are used to now all currently. And then it gives you the auto expense out here for $60. And then what else? And they have filters out here, same like others. Then when I go back to the account, like click out here, it gives you the expense report distributions out here, which is the chart fields. If you have any project chart fields, it will be shown here. You can click on show all, which you can currently do it, which shows you all the chart fields out there for this expense. And then if you go back to the view summary, it gives you the details of the expense report, which is who submitted this and whose work list is pending on right now. Senator's work list out there. And you can even withdraw it here before the approvals is done. You can still withdraw from here. It has the printable version options. It has the notes out here, which you keyed in. That's basically what I can show you on this. So when I click on X out here, it takes back to the dashboard again, or WorkCenter again. And this gives you the different information on the expense report that was submitted for approvals and whose approval ID is sitting on. It is sitting on this approval ID, which is Sunita out here. And these expenses are sitting on Elizabeth's work list out here. So similarly, we have the features for cash advance, where you can see the similar information out there. By clicking the cash advance, it will take you to the advance. Like Julie said, this is the development and movement. These are all work before I came to you, and now it's not. So sorry for that. But the concept is same as the expense report, which I showed you, where you can click this and to see the details out there. And the next section I have is the exceptions, outstanding cash advances. For this agency, there is no outstanding cash advances. Again, outstanding cash advances is nothing but the cash advances that are paid, but not used against any expense out there. So they're still outstanding out there as a liability.
Jeevan,
Yes.
Christy has a question. Christy, you want to come off mute and ask your
Sure.
question?
Yes, good morning. So I noticed that of the modules that you're showing are from a processor view. I'm assuming that on the approval side, if you're an approver, that I guess the modules will still look the same. Are there any updates to how the approver would see
That's a great question,
the
which is my next
information?
section out here,
Oh, okay.
which is my approvals out here. Area out here, you can see the travel relations. There are two pending approval, two travel relations pending under this user's work list. One cash advance, one expense report. So for example, if I click on expense report, it shows me these are the true travel expense reports out there pending in Sanita's work list. So when I click on one of them, it will take me to the details page, which you're used to now, where you can see. So let me click on the details first, which shows you the details which we saw before. It gives you the expense report summary, who submitted this, where it is listing. And then it gives you the summary information of the things itself. Is that what you're looking for, or any specific questions you have?
Partial. That is what I'm looking for, but also I'm looking to see, is the capability still going to be there for the approver to manually push through the budget check?
Yes, that option is still there if it is not budget checked. This expense is already budget checked, valid budget checked. That's why you don't see that options. But if it is not budget checked, you still see that link out there where you can click on it and manually budget check instead of waiting for the batch process to be run every 2 hours. Yes,
Okay,
that's
thank
option
you.
still available there. You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
So similarly, we have the approvals for travel relations, cash advance. They work the similar way out there. And then we still have the insights in this section, which is the expense insights that Kim will go through again. And we have the link similar to what we have in accounts payables, where you have certain pages out there, and each category, like cash advances, has these sections out here where you can create cash advances or find an existing one, view cash advances, print advance, or mark advance for close. And similar categories are available in the travel relations, where you can create travel relations and expense report. One thing I want to point out in this one is when you click on create modify expense report, in going forward in PUM, you'll see this page as your first default page. This page is nothing but all the proxies, all the employees you're proxy for. So instead of seeing that prompt button where you key in one employee ID and it comes back and gives you an error saying that, sorry, you can't create an expense because you're not a proxy. It doesn't give you the details, but it tells you you cannot create expense for this. So instead of that, the first page you land into this one where it gives you all the employees you're proxy for. So you can create expenses only for these employees. If you see an employee which is not in this list, that means you're not a proxy to, and you can add yourself as a proxy to that employee. And then when you come back here, that employee will show up and you click on that employee. It will take you to the create page where you can create the expense like you do normally. And then you enter the general information like business purpose description out here. So to add an expense lines, you create an add expense line out here. Of course, some of them are required. So I'm going to just type in something. So when you click on add expense add lines, it gives you this page where you saw it before in the approvals, where you key in your date, expense date, and then the expense type which you wanted to see. All the types which you have currently will be available out here. So you can select any type out here. And then you write the description, and the payment type is again check, which you are used to now, currently default to. And then you enter the amount, and then you have the accounting entries out here where you can create accounting entries. So each step has a default out here. You cannot go forward without that. We choose an expense type, auto expense, test. And then it comes back to the accounting details. And once you click on accounting details, now you need to create your the transactions out here, put the details out here, and then you say done. So it will create the expense entries out here. Once you're all done creating the expense report, review and submit, which you're used to now, which will tell you, are you okay to submit? You say okay, and the expense will be submitted.
Great, and Jeevan, as we have this quick pause, we have a question from Chiquita. Chiquita, if you want to come off mute.
Okay, thank you. So when you put in the travel expense now, if you have several lines like lodging, meals, parking, et cetera, you can see everything on one screen. So is this set up now that you want see everything on one screen, or to just populate over to the area where you had I think you had auto expense or something? So we won't see everything on one screen anymore?
You do see that in one screen, just like you're seeing that. I did not have any expenses out there with multiple lines.
Okay.
I just created, like I said, this is a development environment, so I created an expense with one line just to make it easy.
Okay.
But yes, once I have the multiple lines, all the lines will be listed out there.
Okay.
Each line will have the auto expense, travel to wherever you travel to Richmond, and meals, travel day, meals, non-travel day, all those lines will be displayed out there.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. And the next section we have is the queries. Again, just like accounts payable, you have the query manager or query viewer for yourself as available out here, and predefined queries are listed out here. The similar concept like accounts payable, which you see the normal screen, which you're used to. And the last section we have is the reports. We have the cash advance by department and the employee top spenders, and the manage accounting. You have the cash advance accounting lines and the reconcile cash advances, and so on and so forth listed out there, which works similar to accounts payables. So that concludes my sessions.
Thank you, Jeevan. Ms. Kim White can give her preview of insights. We really appreciate all of the feedback. So I'm going to turn it over to Kim.
All right, thanks, Dana. So one of the other new features that Dana mentioned at the beginning is insights, and we are going to be bringing some insights dashboards into scope during the PLUM project for GL, AP, and expenses. And we're going to start kind of small and grow over time, as we usually do with new features. A couple of things to call out. We're going to start on our accounts payable. This is going to be accessible from a tile on your homepage. The data available will be for the 3 preceding years. Now, one thing that's very different than the work centers, which were all role-based, anyone with a reporter role within Cardinal Financials will have access to our insights. We will be collecting some information from agencies around sensitive data so that we can make sure we are redacting that since we are opening this all up, and you will have access to see data for all business units, not just your own, so that you can get some holistic views of how the Commonwealth is doing, or perhaps your secretarial area or your agency as a whole. And that's one of the things that's really great about Insights. We've got multiple filters. When they open up, you're going to see a statewide view, and then you can use your filters to focus down on the areas that you are really more interested in. And the same basic setup applies to our employee expenses insights. This is going to be information on expense reports. Again, it'll be for all business units, for people with the Cardinal reporter role. And again, we'll be redacting any data that's been identified as sensitive. Multiple filters again, so that you can hone in on that information that you're really looking for. And with that, we're going to jump right into our demonstration. Let me share. Okay, so again, this is what you've seen from Jeevan's session. Mine may look a little bit different. This is my post-production support login. So you can see I've got a lot more boxes here because this is my login. Users here will see their tiles based on their security. And everyone that has a Cardinal reporter role is going to have this financial insights tile. We're going to click on that, and then that's going to bring us to another page that shows you all of the insights dashboards that we will be having as we go live with this. 4 in the GL space, and then AP will be our supplier spend analysis, and then expenses will be this employee expenses dashboard. So let us jump right into our supplier. A couple of things to call out, as we've mentioned a couple of times, we are in a development environment. We have not started system test. This, especially on the expenses side, we have some things we know that we're going to be making, mostly cosmetic changes to make things a little clearer. So those things will be coming as we go through system test, but this will be a good first peek at what is out here. One other thing that is quite different than the way the work centers work. Work centers is real-time data as things process during the day, as processes run during the day, those work centers are refreshed. The data behind the insights dashboards is not going against our transactional tables. It's using indexes, and this data will only be refreshed overnight during our batch process. So as vouchers post during the day or journals post during the day, you won't see that reflected until the next day when you come into your dashboard. And first, we're just going to take kind of an overview of what is on our supplier spend analysis. The top of each dashboard is going to be your filter area. You can see here we have some business unit related filters for secretarial area, business unit, fund, and account. Then we have a fiscal year filter, and you can also filter by accounting period, which is especially helpful if you're looking at your current year data. And then filters related to your supplier information, the supplier class, supplier ID number, supplier name, and payment method. As we move down our dashboard, you'll notice all of our dashboards pretty much start out with higher summary level information and work down the page. We get into more detailed information as we go down. First off, we have some key high-level metrics for the amount of invoices that have been paid in the system, so by dollar amount and by count. And then we have sections for the top 15 suppliers, both by invoice count and by the invoice paid amount. Moving further down the page, we have a pie chart here for supplier payment by amount, by the payment method, and then by supplier.
Kim, we do have a
Yes.
question from Christy. Christy, you want to come off mute?
Sure, just a quick question in reference to the payable insights. Is that information, that data for interface payments as well as online?
Yes, this includes all voucher data,
Okay,
no matter how it got into the system.
great, thank you.
Now let's move a little further down as we're going to start getting into more detail. Here we have a data table that's giving us some supplier analysis. That's going to include our supplier name and ID, their class, the dollar amount we've paid to this supplier, and the number of invoices that have been paid. Then another pie chart of supplier analysis by business unit. So this is going to tell us that, wow, the Department of Treasury really processes a lot of high dollar vouchers, and this is where they're moving money around. The great thing about our charts is if you hover over your chart, it's going to give you the related dollar amount and percentages that each wedge of this pie makes up. So you can take a little further detail, look into each of these pie slices. Moving further down the page, we have a spend by account analysis, and here we're going to start layering in information by account. We have your account description, the account number, your supplier information, and again, invoice and payment totals for you. Then moving further down, we have some more detailed information now for supplier payments, where we're bringing in some accounting date information, your invoice number, what business unit made this particular payment, because we have now brought in voucher ID. So this is going to be an individual voucher. Your supplier info, was this, did they have a due date or was it due immediately? How was that payment made? Was it a wire transfer or an ACH or a check? Your invoice date, your payment date, the payment ID, and then your invoice payment amount. Then moving further down the page, now we're going to break this down even a little bit further into some invoice information where we're going to layer in supplier class and your account information. So your account description and account code with your invoice amount. At this point in the page, we kind of change focus. As you can see, we've got another set of high-level metrics. And here we're going to start looking at pending amounts. The amount where the invoices are still pending approval in the system. Payment vouchers that have been approved, but the payment has not been made. And then the sum of those two amounts. And then how much cash do we have that's available to support these payments? The last two tables in this dashboard are also related to payments that have not been made, whether they're pending approval or just waiting on that due date to get processed. So we have information at the business unit level with the fund, the payment due date, the invoice number, voucher information, the supplier name, and then the amount fields. And very similar, at the bottom is even a little more information for your users for the payments that are pending by business unit, your fund, what is that particular GL cash balance that was available as of the previous night for that fund, and then over to the far right, the total amount that is pending payment in the system for that fund. Now, I know that's a lot of information, and we're going to go back up and see how some of these filters work. But I want to call out a few other things, and I'm going to call them out on the AP side. The expenses works the exact same, so we won't have to cover them again when we get to the expenses. Using this reporting link at the top, you can export the entire dashboard to PDF or to a PNG file. And this, if for some reason you wanted to capture what's out there, you have that availability. I am not going to demo that because it does take several minutes for it to render, but it will give you your filters as you have them set, and then exactly what is displaying on the dashboard. Information that is in a data table, any of the data tables, can be exported to Excel by using the little export icon at the top of the table. And you can click the formatted, and it is going to drop that into Excel for you. It works. It's going to have exactly what you see in the table. Also available for your charts, you can click the three little dots in the upper right-hand corner and select Inspect, and you are able to download the data behind the chart to CSV. So those are just a few of the other things that you can do while you're on the dashboard. Another key thing to call out is you have to be aware of multiple pages that may be displayed on a data table, and that is indicated in this bottom right corner with the multiple page numbers. So you can scroll through on the pages to see the data. If you do download this data table to Excel, it will include all of the rows. So you're not having to do piecemeal. So now let's go up and apply a couple of filters just to show you how the dashboard reacts as you filter data. What I want to do now is we are going to continue to look at FY 2026, so I don't need to change this filter. But I do want to hone in on a particular business unit. So you go into your business unit field. You can either scroll to find the value you want or just enter it directly. Click on that label. Anytime you're filtering, you do need to click the Apply Changes button. Now you'll see that all of the data within this dashboard has updated to reflect what we are now filtered on. So this has now been updated to just show me the invoices paid amounts for this one particular business unit. For this one business unit, here are their top 15 suppliers by invoice count and invoice paid amount. The payment method has been updated. Now you can see wire transfers is no longer that big slice of the pie. This agency is making most of their vendor payments by ACH, followed by EFT. This is information for the suppliers this particular agency is paying. So you can see City of Lexington, the YMCA, and all the information continues to have updated just by setting that one filter. When we get down to the metrics, now you are seeing that the business unit has $262,000 worth of pending vouchers out here. And that they have 242,000 that have been approved but haven't been paid, etc. And their particular cash balance. Now let's look at one of their particular vendors. Say I want to look for payments to Henrico County Public Schools. Now, one thing we have done on this dashboard is we have forced all of the vendor names into uppercase just to make searching for vendors a little less guesswork. You're going to do all your searches using all caps. So I have set a vendor. I need to come out and click my apply changes. And now you can see that this business unit has made 10 invoices to Henrico County Schools. And we can come down and see and get to the detail for those particular payments if we are needing to do some research. Here is that information. Here are the 10 invoices that have been done to that particular vendor. And you can see all these payments have been made, so there is nothing in the pending approval section at the bottom of the page. I suppose we want to go just maybe a little further and say, well, wonder what other agencies pay this particular vendor. We can come back up, remove our business unit filter by simply clicking on the X, and the data refreshes for us. And we can come down now and see, let's look down here now by our business unit analysis. This is a great little pie chart. This tells me that direct aid to public education is the agency that's making the most payments to this vendor at 53%, followed by some transfers from DOA, and then Department of Taxation, etc. So you can get all of this great information if you have research to do on your vendor payments. We can remove our fiscal year filter and come in and select last fiscal year and click apply changes. And now we are looking at data for the prior fiscal year.
Kim, we have a question from Solomon. Solomon, do you want to come off of mute?
Okay. Hey, Kim. I was wondering if we are able to see by fiscal year for the past 3 fiscal year a comparison, like how much we pay for a vendor, like a quick overview. Is that possible, or do we have to go like for each fiscal year and then?
You are able to search multiple fiscal. You can set your filter to have multiple fiscal years available. You could have multiple business units available. Anything you're filtering, you can have multiples out there.
Okay, thank you.
But Solomon, were you looking at like a trend analysis?
Sometimes, we do want to see like how much before we issue a new PO or something. We'd like to see how much we have been paying for this vendor for the past 3 years, and then was it growing? What's the change? Yeah, you're right. Like it's like a trend analysis that I was looking for.
Mm-hmm. So I think and Kim, maybe you could provide this kind of concept, but I think what you could do is, so what Kim's showing you now is the data within both fiscal years for Verizon as an example. And then if you go down to the data tables, you would be able to see what was made up during that time period and then dump it to Excel so that you could have a more detailed view of it.
Thank you.
Yeah, but the page is pretty busy as it is. And that is one of the great things about being able to dump those data tables to Excel so that you can massage the data how you particularly need to see it.
And I also think that what you're bringing up is a great point for trend analysis. It's nothing that we have right now, but it's certainly something that we can consider for the future.
Yes, definitely.
And I'm not sure if you saw that in the very beginning when Kim was showing you all of the different types of insights that we are sending out and dashboards. One of them is a GL trend analysis. But that's at the GL level, not at the supplier level.
That would be lovely, because currently when I do my analysis, like when I develop a budget, I'm running a query, all GL query for expenditure for the past 3 years. And sometimes Cardinal is not able to give me all the data because too much. And so I have to, separate it by year, or maybe sometimes, cut it into 2 parts, like for 1 fiscal year, because it doesn't download the whole information at the same time.
So that will be available for the raw data will be available because it will show the full gamut of data over the 3-year period.
And hey, Salman, this is Sridhar from the Cardinal team. So for the issue that you just mentioned about where you have a limitation in pulling all the data from Cardinal, so we are deploying a query scheduler which will let you pull all the data at one shot. I know you mentioned that there are some limitations and you had to do by fiscal year when you download the data in those queries, but that's something that we have enabled on the finance side where you would be able to run it for all the fiscal years. So that's something, be on the lookout for that in the next week or so.
All right, let's go back to expenses. So this is one of the cases where using the go back button really works nicely. And we're going to pick our employee expenses tile to go to our employee expenses dashboard. Now this dashboard is going to give us information on expense reports that have been approved and processed. It does not have any data on pending expense reports. Again, the setup is very similar. You've got your reporting hyperlink here where you could download your entire dashboard, your filters at the top of the page. I do want to just remind you, this is one where we do have some cosmetic fixes and things we're going to be doing, but the actual data under the tables is all good. We'll be testing this a lot when we go through our system test. We have a section for agency control. So again, secretariat, business unit. We're going to introduce department here so that you can do some research based on departments within your agency. Expense groups and expense types. Now you might ask, well, what is an expense group? You know that we have such detailed expense types. There are like, 15 different types of meals that you could have because of all the rules that are built into that setup. So the expense group is a higher level than expense type, where we have mapped each expense type into a group. So we have accommodations, airfare, auto, educational reimbursements. Now here, sorry, you interface agencies. On expense reports, you're not sending in this detail, so all of yours just show up as interfaced. Meals, which is going to sum up all of those various types of expenses that are meal related, mileage, miscellaneous, per diem, and registration. You have all of those as a higher level search criteria. Then we have our fiscal period controls, fiscal year and accounting period, like we saw on the AP dashboard. And here we can filter on employee IDs and employee names so that you can do detailed research if needed. Now let's take a look down this page. This page opened up with all 3 years of available data being displayed. Here we can see we have total expense reports processed by secretariat. And again, you can hover over the pieces of your chart to see that for the Secretary of Education, they're leading the pack here with $17.8 million processed. Then we have a pie chart of expenses by the detailed type. And of course, interface, since everything is all lumped together, takes the big slice of the pie there. Then we're going to come down into a data table. So once again, all your data tables are downloadable into Excel. You've got your scrolls that you need to master. You're all going to become scrolling experts. Here we have by secretarial area, the total expense amounts broken down into our expense group categories. Then we have a pie chart to show us expenses by business unit. It's going to show the top 25 business units when it first opens. And if you're not in the top 25, it just does this all other. So you can see the all other is about half of the pie, 46 point some percent. I can't read that little tiny number. Then we have another pie chart, which is at our higher level group. So we can see that accommodations, meals, miscellaneous are big pieces of the pie after interface. Then we have a data table that's going to show us in descending order our total approved expense reports and the total expenses by employee. And I believe this also shows just like the top 10. One thing I didn't show on the other dashboard, all of your data tables, for the most part, your column headings can be used to sort. So if I wanted to see the number of approved expense reports, but I want to show them in ascending order, I can just flip that and it will sort differently for me. Let's put this back, and I want to point out here where you see the little asterisks, this is going to represent things that were redacted. And as we go through system tests, we may be hiding this so that that doesn't show, since it really doesn't provide any benefit to you since you don't know what they're for. The next data table is our employee expenses summary. So we're breaking this down and getting into a little more detail. You see here, you can drag to widen or shrink columns as needed. This is going to give you a view by expense report, how the dollars break out into your group. So you've got your employee ID, name, and it's also got information for the expense report number. And so you can see how that particular expense report was broken down, what it was for. Our next data table at the bottom of our page goes down to the lowest level. This is going to give you at a line number, so line by line within that expense report, what made that expense report up. As you can see here, this is one of the ones we're going to be making some little tweaks on. So we have a submission, all of these date fields currently. We will be updating these so the timestamp does not show, just to shrink that up because we really don't care what time it was. So that the submission date, approval date, the actual expense date. So this is the information from the expense report on the actual day this was incurred. This gives you the group name, also the actual detailed expense type it was, and then the dollar amount of that.
Solomon has another question.
Yes. If you can go back to by employee where it shows the meals and mileage and all that stuff. Right now, we have a hard time, getting a data. Like if we want to separate how much we spend on training, like a conference, and because that's coded all to 1227, but we want to see the breakdown. How much of that is meal? How much is mileage? How much is for lodging? We don't have that information. So will this provide all that information, including the account code, so that we can manipulate the data, or is that only going to give us the meals, the mileage, and the per diem with no account code?
So that is a very good question. Currently, this would not, but as I said, we have not gone through system test. We did just very recently get them to add the account on the AP Insights dashboard. So we could do that and make account a filter on this one also. So if you filtered on the particular account for training, then I believe this table would still break the pieces and parts as you wanted to see them. But we can definitely take that as a point to see what we can do. Now let's come up here and apply just a couple of quick filters before I turn this back over to Dana to wrap up our meeting. Let's take a look at a particular business unit. Again, you're going to set your filter and then click Apply Changes. I do want to just look at this one, 2025, and let's click that. Now, you'll notice as we scroll down that the information has been updated. It looks a little different. Since all the interfacing information is out, as this is an online agency, you can see how their agency ranks with the different types of payments. We can see that, they've got some fairly even pieces of the pie. They're spending the most on meals, and then accommodations, and then mileage. And now our expenses by employee is just looking at employees of this particular business unit. And then all of the other tables have also updated. What you can do now, if say you were looking at this and you're like, wow, what is this person? We can double click here, copy our employee ID, and then come up, paste our employee ID into our filter, click apply changes. Though we could have still gotten to that information in the tables, now the table is only going to display the information for that particular employee. If you needed to dump this down to Excel to do some further research or had other questions, that information is now easily accessible. One other thing I want to show real quick before we move on, I'm going to remove my filters for that. And now let's add a department filter really quick. Now, if you're needing to research some expenses by departments, and again, you can have multiple departments set in your filter just by adding another one here. Now, the information in the dashboard has refreshed just to give you the information related to that one department. You can see the employees that have processed the most travel expense reports and how much they are, and then the actual detail on those expense reports that have been processed for the one particular department within this business unit. I'm hoping that you can start to see some uses for these dashboards, and that they may, it's going to take a little getting used to and playing around with. The great thing is you can't hurt anything as you filter. Feel like you messed your filters all up, just go back out to the tile and come back in, and it's all going to be reset for you.
Kim Chiquita has a question.
Yes. Hi, Kim. Question is, so when you go into these different work areas, you will always see all of the agency's information, but in order to get to yours, you just have to filter and put in your department. So automatically you'll see everything.
Yes.
So if you don't want to see, okay, so that's just a part of it, seeing all the agency's things, but then you can filter, of course, to just get to yours.
Yes.
Okay.
That is
All right.
accurate.
Thank you.
Okay, so y'all are our very first audience for insight. So we would really like to do a quick Menti to get some feedback. Here's our question, and it is a multiple choice to help you out, but what do you see as top challenges with user adoption and help desk tickets for PeopleSoft Insights? And we've put in there understanding the new feature, technical issues, limited support, lack of user readiness. And I see we've got a couple of people have said understanding the new feature. Well, the good news is we are going to be offering job aids and some web-based training to help everybody with understanding the new feature. So really appreciate your feedback on that. I see we do have one more question from Sandra.
Yes, ma'am. So when do you expect this to be effective and ready for users to begin using it?
Well, that is a great segue, Sandra, to our final slide. Let me just catch you up on what's going on over the next few months. So the short answer is September is when we expect to roll this all out. But over the course of the next few months, we will be revamping virtually all of our training materials. including our instructor-led training, web-based training, job aids, videos, and to the point of like insights, we'll be developing new training materials, not just updating what we have. We'll also be developing some communications that we'll be sending out to help prepare our users for these changes. Then when we get to summertime, we're going to be conducting a number of forums to introduce the new features to the larger Cardinal community. Generally, these will be module based. So you might have a forum, for the accounts payable folks, and a different forum that features our accounts receivable and billing. So then we plan, as I said, to go live in September. You see our lovely celebratory bird there. And then after go live, similar to what we did when we rolled out HCM, is we will likely hold a number of additional forums that will help address any hot topics or provide clarifications based on issues we see in tickets. We're hoping this is all coming out to you in September 2026. Thank you again for attending. We really appreciate the time that y'all have taken to interact on this with us and give us your feedback. And I'm going to put in one last plug for our survey. We've asked for a little bit more feedback there too, and we really are hoping you will provide some more to help us with our communications and training strategy going forward. So thanks everybody